You're listening to President Biden's, roundabout interviews today, the day after, the night before. Lauren Tom's in studio now. Now, you've been talking to a lot of Bay Area Biden supporters. I find it interesting the fact that Democrats are openly talking about the possibility of another plan is quite interesting. So why don't you tell me some of the feedback you got?
Yeah, well, the consensus overall is that the president did not do enough to put voters' minds at ease about his age and cognitive ability to do the job. We should note former President Trump did make many misleading or outright inaccurate statements last night, but it's also about optics. And today I spoke with some Biden supporters who worry about the damage that was done. Viewers of Thursday night's presidential debate are experiencing a political hangover.
It was very, very hard to watch.
Top Democratic donor and Biden supporter Mark Buell watched alongside a room full of people as President Biden appeared to fumble on the national stage.
Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
I think Joe Biden has been an excellent president. The question on everybody's mind is, should he have signed up for a second term? And since he decided to do it, the expectation is that he can be a very competitive candidate. And I don't think last night demonstrated that.
But following Biden's debate performance, he now says the party should make room for a younger candidate.
Do you think somebody else should step in and relieve the president?
Personally, yes.
Buell says Democrats have a strong group on deck if they choose to prop up another candidate. At the top of the list are Bay Area natives Kamala Harris and Gavin Newsom, both of whom Buell has close ties to.
I've known Gavin's family all my life. I was also Kamala Harris's finance chair for her first race and her second race, and I chaired her campaign for the Senate. The sooner Biden makes a decision, were he to make the decision not to run, it would give 5 people that I could think off of the top of my head a chance to mount a campaign and tell the American people where they stand.
Both Newsom and Harris quickly defended the president after the debate.
Delivered on substance. Donald Trump was a disaster tonight.
In a real leader, character matters more than style.
Young Democrats are also concerned about the viability of the Democratic ticket heading into November. Jeffrey Kwong leaves the Harvey Milk Democratic Club. He says the lack of energy around the Biden campaign, even in progressive San Francisco, is disheartening.
Based on yesterday's performance, which we cannot unwatch, we're going to lose November, and that's a sad reality.
And chairman of the San Francisco Republican Party, John Dennis, says Biden's performance only tees up Trump for another victory.
At the risk of being overconfident, I wasn't terribly confident prior to the debate. I think that Donald Trump might be in a glide path right now to success and victory in November. I don't care who they put on the ballot in November.
For Buell, the stakes are only growing, but his commitment to the Democratic Party is unshaken, be it for Biden or an alternative.
This is the most important election of our lifetime. And I think democracy itself is on the ballot. And there's no question in my mind that Trump has to be stopped at all costs.
So many conversations happening throughout the United States right now. And we should note that this was an early debate. June was a lot earlier than normal by Biden design. They wanted that. So the next question, I guess, would be if Democrats do want to replace Biden, obviously not an easy task or chore.
Not easy at all, Juliet, but I do want to be clear that we still appear to be a ways away from that. Despite all of the noise today, Biden has repeatedly shut down any idea of stepping down. But if it did get to a replacement strategy, there isn't currently a procedure in place to replace a candidate before the convention in August. If he were to drop out after being formally nominated by the party, the DNC chair could call a special meeting, and it would require a majority vote of roughly 500 members to select a replacement. Now, there is a lot up in the air at this point, but one thing we do know for sure is that the presidential race today is surely not what it was yesterday.
I like the word you used, noise. Quite a bit of noise, and it's going to continue. It's not going to get quieter anytime soon.
Not at all.
All right, Lauren, thank you so much. So as for former President Trump, he's feeling a lot more confident about his performance last night, despite criticism for the false statements he made during the debate.
We had a big victory against a man that really is looking to destroy our country. He's the worst. He's the most corrupt, the most incompetent president in the history of our country.
This guy has no sense.
The second and likely final presidential debate will be in September.
You know that, serious.